Hi, Gerhard Bloom, once again looking at the tyranny and the delusions of the social justice movement. So was the withdrawal from Afghanistan really a success? Well, the Biden administration certainly thinks so. And National Security spokesman John Kirby told the American public that the Afghanistan withdrawal was a success. He's proud of the operation. They evacuated tens of thousands of Afghans. That is true. Tens of thousands of Afghans. Yep. The problem is they weren't the tens of thousands of Afghans that they were supposed to evacuate. They left behind thousands of those Afghans that had assisted the United States and their families. They are being murdered. These people have been betrayed. And instead, they brought in tens of thousands of unvetted Afghans. Now, how many of these are terrorists or hold values utterly incompatible with the Western world? A success? Oh yes, certainly for the Taliban. For the US, it was a catastrophic foreign policy disaster. It was a shameful betrayal of the trust of the American servicemen who were needlessly murdered. And of course, Biden, never one to accept responsibility, is attempting to blame Donald Trump. It was Trump that negotiated the deal with the Taliban. It was Trump that made the deal. If Biden didn't like the deal, he, as president, could have rejected it. You know, like Trump's policy on the wall, or the Remain in Mexico, or Trump's foreign policies with respect to Iran. Biden, didn't feel the least bit compelled to adhere to those. But to this, I have to stick with what Donald Trump says. Well, Donald Trump is not Joe Biden's dad. Joe Biden is the president of the United States. And by the way, this business that we can't stay, or we couldn't stay in Afghanistan forever, why? Precisely why? And I know Trump, he said the United States needs to go. Biden thinks so too. I don't. I think both were wrong. Although Trump's handling it was much, much better. And this disaster would not have unfolded the way it did. The point being, you keep Bagram Air Force Base. You keep a lot of aircraft there. You make sure that hardened facility, it's in the middle of nowhere. And Taliban troops amass to attack it, you kill them all. And if they try and amass to take Kabul, same thing. Rinse, wash, and repeat. American servicemen and women have been in Japan since the end of the Second World War. They've been in Korea since the end of the Korean War. There is absolutely no reason why Americans couldn't have kept Bagram Airfield and held it in perpetuity, or until the situations in the world suggested otherwise. It's awful. And the Bagram Air Force Base provided the Americans a very important strategic resource in the region. But anyways, it's gone. And having held the Bagram airfield, it could have provided safe evacuation, right? Very safe. It was a secure facility. I've been there many times. In the middle of nowhere, as I say. Easily defended. But Biden ordered the secret abandonment of this airfield. The Afghan commander wasn't even informed. Americans literally snuck out under the cover of darkness. Imagine the shame of the American troops sneaking out like that. And they left 7,000 hardened Taliban, ISIS, and Al-Qaeda fighters. And they should have dealt with those prisoners before they left. And instead, these merciless killers are now free. And that's right, I said ISIS and Al-Qaeda in addition to Taliban. They also, Biden should say, abandoned 600,000 advanced combat rifles, 2,000 armored vehicles, 40 aircraft, including advanced Black Hawk helicopters, and advanced night vision goggles. These are extremely valuable for attacking at night. Highly advanced systems in combat. Anyways, awful. And undoubtedly, these are being reverse engineered in China. And don't worry about those weapons. They're certainly not going to rust. Already, M4s, M16s, and other US-made arms and ammunition have turned up in the hands of militants militant Muslims in Indian-controlled Kashmir. And Russia may very well be able to buy American-made ammunition and equipment on the cheap in Afghanistan. And Biden turned over the external security of the Kabul airport to the Taliban. He gave the names of Afghans that had supported the Americans under Trump and previously, right? Risked their lives supporting American troops and operations. Biden gave the Taliban their names. So, the Taliban, they're supposed to look at the names and say, yeah, you helped the Americans, off you go then, off to the United States. No. Under Trump, not a single American serviceman had been killed in combat in a year and a half. And Donald Trump was very clear about the conditions for American withdrawal. The Biden administration recently acknowledged it left nearly 200 American citizens behind enemy lines in Afghanistan. But Biden, didn't he tell you that no Americans would be left behind? Yeah, he did tell you that. He said so explicitly. And didn't they tell you that they had a plan to get everybody out? They lied. The American withdrawal from Afghanistan was a catastrophic own goal and utterly unnecessary. And yes, Biden was warned. And for the sake of some symbolic victory, he abandoned the country, the people who had fought on American side and American citizens. The evacuation was a policy of cowardice and callousness. Obviously, you keep the military assets in place. They protect the civilians as they evacuate. And then the troops, they sweep up at the end and off they go. Everybody's safe and sound. That was Donald Trump's plan. And a remarkable, simple plan to follow and a rational follow. No, Biden, he did the reverse. He withdrew American forces, leaving behind a highly vulnerable skeleton crew and abandoned the civilians. And he abandoned Bagram Airfield and forced the evacuation from the Kabul airport. He thought, the Taliban is just going to let the American allies leave. I don't believe that for a minute. Not even he is that stupid. He just didn't care. And at the very moment that the Taliban was controlling the outer perimeter, the airport, the civilians that had helped the Americans were being murdered in the streets. And Nancy Pelosi, about Biden's betrayal, it was strong. It was decisive. It was the right thing to do, except it cost 13 servicemen their lives and 160 Afghan civilians their lives. And the Taliban, they just let the bomber in. And why wouldn't they? Biden abandoned his duty to those servicemen and women. He forced the betrayal of the guarantees of safety to the Afghans that had helped the American troops. And now Afghanistan has plunged into Islamic medieval barbarism. But a leftist can be thankful that these people of color aren't being oppressed by American imperialism or systemic oppression. Leftists are wrong about absolutely everything, disastrously wrong. But it's always other people that pay the price. In Afghanistan now, it's sex slavery, beheadings, and the tyranny of Islam. So anyways, hope you'll check out my book, Deconstructing Social Justice. It's available on Amazon. It's not important because I wrote it. I wrote it because the issues are important. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Bye-bye.